also explained the challenges that he dealt with when he was there, even similar challenges as some of the things that he had were personal materials and there were no budget for the office. So there were these, challenges. And even our senior brother, Jerry McKia, we work together very closely, even as we both are on government's communication arm. This is something that even I was speaking to senior brother Sarah's Badio just before we left for Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, these are people, they're in reach of us, and we can have, conversation around this.
Okay, so we begin the real discussion. We just wanted you to have an appreciation, or the public to have an appreciation of what you inherited, at the presidency, with specific reference to the office of the press secretary. Now, the president took over January 22nd. Up to now, there is still this issue about slow pace in the appointment process. As we speak, in most of the counties, you do not have superintendents. People are just officer in charge, officer in charge. Why is the president slow the way it is? In appointing people into different government positions, assistant ministers, deputy ministers, there are a lot we could count. County superintendents for that.
I can tell you for most part, appointments are taking shape. And appointments is not just a space that you want to just run. In Liberia, we say hurry, hurry, bus traffic. And if you do an assessment of governments in the past or presidents in other countries and the system in which they have to go through in terms of appointing and selecting the best team, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to have people who can implement your agenda, who can implement your ideas. And one individual will not know all the people. So you want to be able to do the due diligence so that the people who you have on your team, they're able to execute your ideas and visions. So on the issue of the counties, our counties, it is not just there are lots of issues when it comes to appointing superintendent, for example. So I'll give you an example for Cape Mount. For example, you will have the county that has regions and they have different groups. It has different structures, the clans, the district, and all those layers. And there are key people you want to be able to make sure that whoever becomes a superintendent, these are people who can navigate those different walls, who are able to go through, work with the young people, work with the women, work with the traditional leaders, work with a cross section of the county. You may not get everything perfect, but you want to be able to have that representation at the county level. So sometimes people right now, there are lots of the different counties, they already have recommendations. But it's not just automatic. When you recommend, there's procedures. So for example, right now, Cape Mount people are saying that you have two senators. Cape Mount has two senators. All the counties got two senators, but two senators come from two districts, District 3 and District 1. District 2 does not have a senator, for example. And then you have the clan, you have 5 administrative districts, and you have different clans. You want to be able to have someone who can navigate all those different places. And the Cape Mountaineers too, there are lots of people have expressed interest in those. So they're having their own internal way in which they can recommend so that that representation will be. So for superintendent and other local county officials, it's not just something to say, oh, Clarence Jackson can't go to the other place and go be there. You want someone who will be able to work with everyone. Talking about the slow pace, trust me, most of the key agencies and ministries are currently have their leadership. We do know there are places that deputies and assistant ministers have not. I mean, the recommendations are made, but the internal review, sometimes when the recommendations are made, the chief want to make sure that these people know, what it is, and then the ministers also come and say that okay, we have these people, this is our plan, we want to execute it, we want to make sure that we go with your policy and whatnot. This is our team. And then he himself we do so that there are layers. And trust me, the government has been formed and is going to be, in shape, and things are moving.
Okay.
Things are moving.
My Cody will come in. I just want to do one follow up, then Barclay, then we just go along like that. Now, what's happening at the mansion? There are evidence of instances where people get nominated, their names will come up, and then they will, if it's withdrawn out of their place somewhere else. I want to make a particular emphasis. I don't know, and I don't know where the president stand on this one. These people have never gone for confirmation yet, so I don't know who is what. At the Ministry of Health, who is the deputy minister nominated for administration? I'm asking because the name executive marshal and now former representative Roger Doma. Martha Morris supposed to be assistant minister as announced by the list. We heard Martha Morris and other people say, no, it ain't Martha Morris. That was a mistake. And then up to now, neither of them have ever gone to the Liberian Senate for confirmation. Probably this is so because the president has not sent their name. Where is the president on this matter?
So let me say this to the public and to the journalists. The president has the exclusive authority to appoint whoever he wills, whoever he sees and believes that this person can serve. And that authority is vested in him and him alone. He also can decide who to withdraw and who to replace. So there's no question about whether or not this is a mistake. That is not the case. So if the president appoints you today and tomorrow you probably for reasons best known to him that he does not feel that you were able to execute, he can recall you. That shouldn't be any argument about that. So on the issue that you just mentioned about former representative Roger Doma, the appointment, as you've seen, is still on the executive mansion website. If there are any change, if the president decides that he's going to recall or withdraw anybody else, that communication will be made public. There's nothing going to be secret about it. So again, I mean, as you've seen, life goes on. Once the president decides that this is the decision, and that will be communicated to the public. But as yet, as you've seen, that is the information that's out there.
And I'm asking because the Minister of Health has taken over. You need a deputy minister for administration to help her to run the ministry. As we speak, Roger Duma has never gone for confirmation. This is so because the president has not sent his name to the Senate for confirmation. He's been appointed almost 2-3 weeks now. He has never been confirmed. He has to go and work. The deputy minister for administration plays a key role. I mean, it is in the public mind that the president is still being judgmental on the issue.
Not necessarily. So as I've said, the president is the sole authority to decide who he wills. And besides, so there's a whole process. If you see there have been a lot of people appointed, but the scheduling at the legislature, sometimes it can be some people have been appointed a while, they have not gone for confirmation, and there are people who still waiting, all of those different things. And so there are issues of that sort. So once the appointment is made, the announcement is made, the communications team at the Ministry of State normally send the communication to the legislature, and then the scheduling is done. The candidate is informed, and then they will go, or the appointee is informed, and then they will go for the confirmation. Once they confirm, they get appointed. So I mean, it's just that the challenge with that we have. A lot of time people like to make issue out of non-issue. I say this to mean that once, if the president makes a decision that this name will be recalled, the public will be informed. But as yet, what you have on the executive mansion website, which is the authority of information coming from the executive, please, let's go by the one that we have in the public.
In addition to Clarence's concerns, in the context of appointments, those persons nominated to those positions, subject to confirmation, I also complain that there's a slow pace of the confirmation processes. So if there's one thing, the slow pace of appointments, there's another thing also on the slow pace of confirmation of those persons that we nominate.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to Kelvin, just talk about you the process of how the president gets involved to do the appointment, because we understand that the president doesn't know everybody that he appoints.
Nobody knows everybody. Yeah.
Yes, so most of these appointments are recommended names. Then the president forwards these names to you for posting.
No, that's not how it works.
Okay, talk us through that.
So what actually happened? First of all, when you say most, that's where I will have a disagreement with you. The president, like I said, the president makes the decision. Yes, people will recommend that. Oh, we think, or I think this person will be good in this. And besides, this administration, what we've been able to do that I see different from past is that, for example, if they say Favle is recommended to so and so, Favle would need to see Favle's CV, what is his experience besides the CV, what can other people say. So for example, when the recommendations are made, for example, the president himself will have people that he knows, that he believes that they can help him achieve his agenda in specific sector. He involve them on board, and they're nominated. Once they're nominated, that communication goes through another layer, with the team reviewing the CV, because the president does not
Is
have
that
the
an
time.
interview?
Oh, no, there's not a specific interview, but there people, for example, you'll say, Kelvin can vouch for Vafle. Kelvin, Vafle is XYZ, Vafle can do this work, Vafle is blah, blah, blah. And the internal team reviews and see, because sometimes you want to make sure that the laws are followed. This person, sometimes other people will say, oh, Vafle, Vafle was to their place here. He took one or two resources that are not for him. And when he will not come, and blah, 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 blah. And whoever bring the recommendation, you're asked to provide more details and all of that. After which, once the president is okay with that, that information goes through his secretariat. The secretariat drafts a letter, so we send it to my office. We review it as well. We make sure that all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and then do the publication. Once the publication is done, it goes to the Senate for the next stages of confirmation. So they requested to bring their CVs, they requested to have scheduling, to come in, provide us information. Once that confirmation hearing is done, it is left with the Senate now to inform the office that yes, these people have been confirmed. Sometimes when the confirmation hearing is done, some people it takes some time before they do the confirmation, because I learned that the committee has to vote for XYZ person to say this person has gone through confirmation. And once that happens, this person is also re-notified, because there are four stages, for example. You have the nomination and the confirmation. What video are you talking about?
The one that we saw the party chairman all along.
Oh, you mean the situation with
NASCO,
NASCO?
yes.
I wouldn't want to say whether he has seen the video, because I don't.
Because I'm asking, I want
But
to know what is the president position when it comes to that.
So I do know the context in which you're asking, whether it's just the basic, back and forth on that. But this is something that the office is concerned, is working on it very seriously, particularly with the Ministry of State.
To say that the office of the president is concerned, does that mean that they did not seek the approval or the authorization of the president?
Like I said, it's been worked on. The team is working on it.
But
And for any additional information on that particular case with NASCO, the public will be informed.
But was there an appointment there in the first place?
Again, that's why I said there's been conversation happening with the Ministry of State, particularly on that subject, and any formal and further additional information will be made public.
Okay, can we take a trip to the trip? Quite recently to the La Côte d'Ivoire. I'm quite sure it's your first official trip with His Excellency,
Yes,
Ambassador Joseph Yuma.
absolutely. Yes. So it was my first trip with the chief, the president, in Cote d'Ivoire. It was a very busy visit. Immediately from the airport here, when we got to Cote d'Ivoire, we just took off.
We want to pattern the conversation.
Right.
I know that there were agreements and disagreements. There were some persons querying the persons who escorted His Excellency
Okay.
at the airport. Some persons thought that we did not need a huge delegation. We heard also that Mr. Boakai doesn't like, a lot of persons leaving their jobs, especially during work times, to escort him at the airport when they should be doing their job. On the other side, we heard that the president approves these kinds of, gathering. Can you tell us what is the president's intention?
What I can say to, especially with the president's own vision and ideas on, he just, when you're working, he wants you to work and deliver on those promises, especially to improve the sector for the Liberian people. Talking about the trip and the people, this was the president's first official visit outside of the country. It was on a work day, and I mean the ministers thought that it would be good since this is the first one, so at least just escort the chief, to the but I mean, but this was something that it was not his choosing to say, oh, you're coming, come and welcome me, I mean, make or escort me. It's just a violation. That the chief first visit outside, we want to show him that respect and that, yes, Mr. President, we are here, we are your lieutenant, you're leaving us some days, but we want to give you the tons of that, go and do us well and come back with all the goodies as we continue. And this is not something that you will see consistently with all that.
Okay.
He wants his ministers to do the job, to deliver. His best thing is not it's not the optics. It's not for him to see you every time you're coming to him. Oh yes sir, but he wants to see you based on the results that you will give to the people, to the government. So if you're in the agriculture sector, for example, and we know that our staple is the issue of rice, come to him with solutions, things that you've put in motion, in those results that are visible on the lives of the Liberian people. By that, he will be very excited, and not just you coming, but oh, chief money, no, no, he's not the kind of person.
If you wanted to be practical about what we stand to benefit as a nation as a result of the president's recent visit to Africa, what do you tell us?
Well, there are a number of things. The visit was very rewarding. It was a busy visit, like I mentioned. So when we left Monrovia, got to Cote d'Ivoire, we went straight to the presidential palace after being received by the vice president. Went to the presidential palace. There was a conversation between His Excellency President Boakai and President Ouattara on specifics. There are three key issues. I will put it that way. One was the issue of electricity. As we know, electricity is our major, concern here in Liberia. The other one was the issue of agriculture, like I mentioned. The other
Sorry,
issue.
it was never a closed door meeting.
See that?
It was an open meeting.
So there were two meetings. There were one a closed door. There were actually three. Like there was one tete-a-tete just between the two leaders, and there was the other with the both leaders and their ministers. So there were a few ministers that came along, and there was own security. So those ministers from our side was the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of National Defense, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Because of course, foreign affairs, foreign relations, defense on the issue of security. Cote d'Ivoire and Liberia share a common border, and there's been some issue of challenges, especially in the region when it comes to military takeover in Niger, in Burkina Faso, and other places we've seen. So there were conversations around that. In fact, coming back, the Minister of Defense did not, the acting Minister of Defense did not come along. She had to stay there because there was supposed to be a joint security meeting at the border between Ivory Coast and Liberia, and also the senator from Brangida, Senator Zopena, because Brangida also is one of the bordering areas with Ivory Coast. So they're all supposed to, go there and have that joint security meeting to come up with key agreement on the both countries on what commitment they're going to make along those lines. So on electricity, there is a very good commitment from Cote d'Ivoire. In that there will be some form of support in terms of elevating the current grade that we've been receiving to add additional to be able to help boost our electricity sector. In fact, the current head of LEC, Monique Captain, was also on the trip, and I mean, this is something that will be seen in the soonest possible time, how that translates into the actual that the Liberian people can see.
But is it fair to say that the visit by the president to Africa was prompted by the recent electricity issue that we've seen, that we're facing, the fact that CLSG, comes from the sources from Ivory Coast? Was electricity the basis for which the visit happened?
Not necessarily. So, I mean, it is a part of the whole bucket, like I've mentioned. So, Ivory Coast and Liberia share for many years sisterly relationship. And I mean, President Ouattara have been here many times. So, this was one way in which electricity is a part of the bigger bucket, but it's more so that how those key three issues, that the form of agreement that have been discussed to ensure that is activated on the ground. So electricity is one component. Agriculture is also another component. In fact, part of the visit, we visited the Agricultural Research Institute in one of the communities, one of the counties outside of outside of the city, Abidjan, where I mean these people have latest technology, you will see plants. You will see several different, system. How, in fact, to a point where they even show us the cocoa seedlings, they're able to use GMO, genetically modified, products. For example, different form. You see different grade of rice. Just to go through that, we will also we went to the town where they were able to showcase the institute, what programs they do, and how we can leverage on those and help our sector here. So in fact, the agriculture minister came along, and they have been having conversation on what form of specific agreements that they can, you know, in, get involved with, so that our people can benefit through research, through support to the sector, through change of ideas and experiences and best practices.
So can we put a timeline to when we see things happening, the implementation of all these discussions?
I would say
Because the former president was speaking upon when he made those visits across, the region, the continent. When he comes up, people ask, "What's the benefit?" So, what's the benefit?
so that is why this time when you have our president leaving, he did not just go with a large delegation of people from all kinds of different sectors, but that's why he had sector specific ministers. So the goal of the president is that the president alone will not be able to go through all these agreements, bring all these sectors and all of that. That's why you have line agencies. So, for example, the Minister of Agriculture and his team will work along with that team. So when the president now calls the Minister of Agriculture and asks, Mr. Minister, Dr. Nuta, where are we on this agreement? Where are we on this? And he's able to say, to hold them accountable. For example, if you call the security advisor who was on the team as well, you call the Minister of Defense, they will be able to tell you where we are on the issue of the defense, system. That's why you have the president is having regular cabinet meetings, with his cabinet, getting updates on where we are, what are those issues on the issue of electricity. That's why you had Monique Captain come on the visit so that he's able to follow up. You have the minister of finance was also part of this. So because at the end of the day, we want to know the financial implications, where we are, what kind of support needed, what are those financial agreements we need to get into. Is it something that we need legislative involvement? All those kinds of things, so that you have a sector specific minister who have the technical knowledge on those areas. They're able to give updates on those
Besides the trip to Africa Coast, Liberians are complaining about the LEC situation. It depends on who's speaking. Some are attributing it to the lack of leadership on the part of Monica Tan and all these things. How concerned is President Boakai, and what is he thinking about doing to ensure we can remedy some of the situations that so people get affordable electricity?
right. I mean, everybody, including myself, we all have been impacted by the issue of electricity. And even the president is not immune from the situation. Sometimes, in fact, one other time we're at the executive mansion and the power just went. So all of these issues, the president is very concerned about that. And even the trip, the visit to Ivory Coast, electricity was high on the agenda. Electricity was high. So, and when LEC tells you that the challenges there are several challenges that the institution is faced with. That's why you have this load shedding. When they give you something to get, they put you off, they put the other person on, those kinds of different things, because we do not have the power that we need to ensure that everybody gets electricity. So this addition that and also for the most part, sometimes we receive these electricity challenges during the dry season. And it's been very hot. And we're told when the rain comes, then we're able to the hydro is able to generate electricity so that people will have more. But all of these things, that is why the president, in fact, very recently appointed a board chairperson who will work along with the team there to institute all those measures, provide supervision, give advice, and say what the challenges are, and find solutions to them that we're able to all look at and say, these are the challenges, but we working on them incrementally. But of course, electricity is part of the president's
Kevin,
priority.
yeah, I know, Kevin, you're coming in shortly. Madam Presidential Press Secretary, Liberians are concerned. This president campaigned on a matter of transparency and accountability. A lot of people celebrated the president when he declared his asset. Why has he published his asset?
Oh, the president has said, I mean, he will publish his assets. So that one is a non, he was one of the first people to just do that. I mean, apparently it's because.
He will declare it and it takes some time before he
No,
publish
the
it.
thing is, it's not, I mean, this is something that he's very open. I think maybe with the other issues that are coming, appointment, and I mean, in fact, the meetings that the president normally has is like he has to say, "Oh, my people, your way, let me deal with these documents or these work on my decks and clear that." I think it's just a matter of
But Kula, when you declare your asset, it means you got your asset already. You can declare your asset and publish it right on the
in
spot.
fact, that one not true, but that one are non-issue. That one are
No, it's an
non-issue.
issue. It is an issue
No,
because if the president, president, 1 minute, if the
also
president
published.
declares his
Yes,
asset,
authority.
if the president declares his asset and we're celebrating, and for example, if the president were to move a step forward and publish it, it puts everybody under the bus. Everybody's going to be on an obligation to do that. But you declare your asset, so you got to be having fast and prayer before you
Amen,
publish the asset.
don't put it that way. Don't try
When is he going to publish the asset?
Don't put it that way. Trust me. It's just a matter of authorization. Once he authorizes the publication, it's all right. This is a president who, I mean, those are things that, I mean, he will do.
Because we want to know what he got, so when he's leaving, we'll be checking.
You want be the well many. I said I get nothing. You know?
Yeah, because
that was somebody one time.
Well, I mean, when soon? How soon do you think
I
that
will,
will be?
I will have a conversation.
The people in the public.
I will have a conversation with the president. I will have a conversation with the president and remind him. Apparently, it's just like one of those things that you really didn't like, But I will remind him on it, and once he gave us the authorization, it will be made.
I will be reminding your office all the time.
I will remind the
I think the public wants to see this.
Oh, I will remind the president.
So 2 issues. I know we started the conversation on the trip to the La Côte d'Ivoire. You mentioned that it was the president's first official visit. Then what then was the trip to Ghana?
Say that again.
The
trip to Ghana. We've said it's a number of times. It was just a working 2-day visit. I mean, it was actually a 1 day. He went and came back the following day. Yeah, it was just a working visit. It was not the official visit. Official visit is where you have a long range of activities. You going to meet sector-specific people. You want to have those scheduled meetings. You want to have engagement with the media. You want to, like a full-fledged, like what happened in Côte d'Ivoire.
It does not have the kind of publicity that the one to the La Côte d'Ivoire has. You were not on the trip,
right? Right.
So what was that? Who did he meet? What were the outcomes of what happened in Ghana?
Again, the visit to Ghana, as we've said a while ago, was a working visit. He went to Ghana and came back. He actually met the vice president on his way back. He came back. Sometimes, you want to be able to. Like sometimes he would just go to Bomi, say, "My people, y'all, let me work on this. Let me just do this thing I need to do. Let me just sit here and concentrate. I won't see nobody coming around me." Even at some point when he goes to Tottenberg, he will tell the security, he say, "You don't let nobody come in. I want to work. I want to deal with this." Because in Liberia, we've gotten to this point where everybody wants to see, even if Tama is able to solve your problem or to answer the questions that you have, but because you're the chief, nobody won't go to Tama. They won't go to Kelvin. They say, "Oh, Kelvin, we got to see you. Regardless, we got to see Kelvin." And you get to Kelvin say, "But just go talk to Tama. Tama will solve the problem you have." So sometimes we've built a system in this country where we must see the president, and the president is very busy. He needs to be able to take care of the different things that he needs to do. Not everything people want to go talk to the president on. So sometimes you just want to go have a working visit to do your work and come back. And Ghana was just that. It was nothing.
Okay, Vavle, let's hear it.
Yeah, I want to move to this whole discussion about the assets recovery.
Right.
The president signed Executive Order 126 establishing the Office of the Asset Recovery. And then following that, the Magibi County Senator, who was Minister of State in the CDC government, issued a statement.
Senator McGill.
Senator Nathaniel McGill, essentially saying, well, commending the president for the establishment of the Office of the Asset Recovery, but then said that the process should not be limited to the last 6 years. It should extend beyond the CDC stewardship. What is the president's reaction or response to that?
So again, the president will work and his vision as he's outlaid them in those areas. It was unfortunate that the past administration did not put into place these kinds of structure accountability mechanisms. So, if our government is putting these mechanisms into place, it is something that they should be able to give the government the opportunity to go ahead and do its duty meticulously. It is not something for somebody to say, "Don't do it here," but do it. You had an opportunity to do it, anyways.
No,
That's
he's just
besides the point.
recommending.
It's a
He
fine
just recommend
recommendation,
that you
but
start from.
I would say this to mean that the committee that had been set up by the president, it was announced the people were on. They will be having a major press briefing to answer all of the different questions around, assets recovery, and where, when, because this is not going to just be limited to Monrovia or Liberia or even in the immediate, is going to go as far beyond where the team believes, or based on a preliminary investigation, that the government's property or assets, physical or financial, whatever it is, that are lodged in other countries, that they will be able to follow procedures in which those things can be brought back to the country. The bigger issue here about this whole process is part of the president's idea on accountability for where we are, like I mentioned earlier, where we've met this country, what the challenges are. So that's why issues of assets recovery is part of the bigger bucket of accountability and integrity that this government and this president has decided to undertake.
When we on last Monday, I hope I'm correct with the time, play host to the Minister of Information,
Mhm.
Joalemic Matthew Pia, he mentioned something specifically um, that is connected to the office of the president.
Mhm.
One of key issues I picked up and which I thought was very important was it seemed to be a dead end on the what was seemed to be what it seemed to be an immediate investigation into what we witnessed at the genesis of your administration. Roads been blocked by the wives of the soldiers. We were told that in 2 weeks, at least, an investigation, an outcome of the investigation will have,
Mhm.
been told us by the the government. But it seems like it is a dead end. From all indications, there isn't a timeline now. What is actually happening?
Okay. So, firstly, it is not a dead end. And also, it is not from all indications, because if you say all indications, meaning that you have all the facts, you internally involve and understand what are the things happening. But here is what I'm going to say: the issue of the army, the military wives, that started prior to now. Prior to our administration, because this is something that this government inherited. I mean, once the president was inaugurated, the women they actually came to the office on multiple occasions to talk about these challenges that they have. Some of them are something that even my uncle, who served in the army way in the 80s, mentioned, that these challenges, for example, housing, electricity, water, and all these different things that they mentioned in their petition when they brought it to the office of the president. However, the president has even gone ahead and done a lot of other things. First, they also talk about the issue of education for their kids. That the Leonard Thomas Greenfield School that's there in the barracks at EBK was exorbitant, that they couldn't afford and whatnot. He immediately suspended tuition and removed it, and asked that the school is free. It's be free. And then the issue of electricity. Immediately he instructed the LEC to go and put some electricity issue and ensure that they worked on that, and that was solved. So even prior to those different action, there were already a goodwill, the will to ensure that the problems as they've outlined was solved. So it was not a dead end. And the thing about security investigation, this is not just a form of haphazard or hurry kind of investigation that you do and you finish with it. As we speak, the process is still on. And in fact, the issues are still being solved from the back end. For example, the issue of housing. Right now, the team, I mean, the office have received a couple of different proposals on the different modules of what kind of housing to remodel. The teams have gone there, they've done assessment to be able to solve the short, or what we call the lower hanging fruit problems, the ones that are in reach that you can do. There are some that are long term. For example, one of the issues that they call on was the issue of promotion within the military. So some of them were asking that their husbands be promoted. And as you know, for promotion, I don't know how it works. I'm not a military personnel, but in a general context, promotion is not just automatic. You have to go through some form of appraisals. Your immediate boss have to say, oh, this person is good, they can do this, and all those criteria within the system, you're able to follow them through. So yes, those things are happening in the process, as I've mentioned, it's still ongoing. And sometimes, when you have a team to say, oh, group of people investigate and come up with one or two findings, the team can come back to you and say, maybe the timeline you gave me is too short to be able to assess all of the problems, and come up with a full update of the investigation that you asked us to do. So I can tell you that the process is still on, and the issues of the military is really one of the top priority of the president. And in fact, even in Cote d'Ivoire, while on the trip, he was even talking about that, even discussing with the defense minister, the acting defense minister, on different ways in which the issues that they've mentioned can be, sorted.
You think the president acted hasty? Because sometimes when the president speaks the way he spoke 2 weeks, and the minister of information comes out and says, no, it can't be 2 weeks anymore. There are a lot of security implications. And then the press secretary say, we are on top of it. Like Kevin said, I mean, are you opening up something? Will we ever see this report coming forth?
Absolutely.
Because when the president said 2 weeks, some of us were of the conviction that he had contacted the minister of, the national security advisor, and that too was a result of an advice and consultation. But you're extending it with no time. We're just here now.
No, 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 no. Like I said, the goal is to ensure, because the bigger issue is the problem. What are the issues within the military, particularly that precipitated the protest action by the women? And those problems have been solved, like I've mentioned. In terms of the report from the team, of course, the report, once it's concluded. In fact, talking about that, I'll just give you an example of the situation that happened at UMU. I mean, graduation ceremony the last time, when that individual came from the crowd and touched the president. So immediately there was the team, the EPS, and the national police launched an investigation on it. But that investigation, you won't know. I mean, we just recently, like maybe few days ago, just got the final report. It's still being looked at and discussed, at which time the one that will be declassified will be, given to the public. So I can tell you from what we've seen so far, security investigations are not investigations that, that you say, oh, just go do it and come back. But this is not to say that the president made hasty. It was never a hasty decision. So if your chief tells you that, Clarence, I want you to make sure you do XYZ in 2 weeks' time, it is to put you on record, to tell you that your chief is very serious about what he's asked you to do, and that you should do everything in your will and power to bring that output to your chief. So if your boss man tells you that, come and give me this within 2 weeks, do everything. If you know within yourself that, hey, chief, it's 2 weeks, it's too short, but the chief tells you that it's 2 weeks, so make sure you at least deliver something before the elapse of the 2 weeks, and ask for some extension. And that is, for example, the case here. So if, like I've said, these issues that were brought forward, they've been solved. The issue of the electricity was restored, the tuition was removed. The issue of housing, right now, there have been a couple of proposals. I've seen some of proposals of the different module of housing that will be remodeled. Some will be changed, there will be additional housing added. So those conversations are still in the preliminary stages. But this is to say that actions are taking place, solutions are being solved, and things are happening. It's not just in a vacuum.
Yeah, let me just come in. The former president, President George Weah, was hugely criticized when it comes to this issue of private jet. On the record, what is the president position on the usage of private jet?
Well, I don't know if the question is in a vacuum, but what I can say if it's in relation to the trip to Ivory Coast, I can tell you that the flight that was sent by the government. It was rating on the government of Cote
I
d'Ivoire,
saw that.
but
I just
right,
want
right.
to,
So I'm
yeah,
coming there.
yeah.
I'm coming there. So on the issue of private jet, of course, the president does not intend to not abide by the rules and regulation of the country. He's a very law-abiding citizen from day one. So he because we do not have private jet as a country. Sometimes when you go into these international meetings and stuff, and in fact, what normally happens, some countries, for example, say if you're going to some countries that you have to go through, if you're using a commercial flight. You have to go through several other countries before getting to your meetings, and then you have to go. Sometimes it takes more than 1 day, 2, 3 days before you get to your final destination. So sometimes friendly countries will say, "Oh, we're going to send a plane to take your delegation." Sometimes you want to carry specific sector may add value to the trip, and who will be able to ensure that what you went for on the visit, you were able to achieve those and provide you the background information of those visits. So I mean, private jet usage, especially if it does not come in conflict with any form of law, is not something that we'll not look into.
And I will beg your indulgence, Clarence. I want to sit back, relax, and listen to the press secretary to name the early achievements of the president as part of the 100 days deliverables.
Wow.
And what are his quest for
I was said by your bringing
roads,
champagne.
his quest for roads across the country being pliable in 100 days.
Because you know
Whether
what,
he's still
you
living
know what,
up to
Clarence,
that, and
we
whether
have to
it
be
will
very
work.
practical.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
we have to be very practical. We
right.
all want the president to succeed, and we have to be practical with the achievements and name them and look at the impact.
So you're telling LBS to bring the champagne while I sit back and relax as I tell you guys the outline. But no, I mean on a serious note, I think this government hit the ground running. Within the first few days of his administration, we saw the challenges that he had to deal with and what things he's been able to put in place. We've seen the formation of his team. The team is taking good shape. He announced that drugs and alcohol abuse, particularly with young people, will be considered as an enemy, and he had put in the committee to be able to review all of those. As I'm sure you've seen of recent, the level of work that the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency have put in place, to the extent in which you're seeing cartels, people who import drugs, people who are the people who receive resources, even to a point where the women who have been caught and some are gone beyond bars. So it's not going to be business as usual. So on the issue of drug and alcohol addiction, the specific things in action that have been taking place. You also look at the issue of the tariff on the rice importation. You saw the executive order 125 that was announced, where as his ideas in agriculture sector, because it's a short-term plan. Reduction of tariff only helps to reduce the price on the market, but more so the long-term impact. So there's a shorter, medium, and longer term, for the implementation of these, and with the aspect of the agriculture sector to ensure that we are full sustainable, we are full secured. But this part is just a short-term way in which we're able to reduce the price on the market. And the Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Finance and the sector responsible for the economy, they will be ensuring that trickle down to the direct pricing on the market. On the issue of fuel, we saw that there has been a reduction in the fuel through the gas, through the LPRC. The team have worked on that. And then the president insistent and consistently have talked about this issue of accountability. We just talk about the assets recovery team. This is something that the president and the government is working on dealing with. And interestingly, we've met so many challenges, across,
So
the
on our
different.
tariff issue, for example,
Mhm.
what will Mamiri benefit in terms of the rice price? What is clear? Because Yeah, the president can come and issue statement as executive order 148, whatever, red, stereo,
I don't
on
want you
red.
to. I don't want you to say.
What is practical?
Okay.
So what will we say as a result of the president adoption of terror on red? What's new? What do we expect?
So if you know the behind the scene aspect of rice, it is not just the rice that you see on the market and the president come and say. There's a whole team of importers, the business people who import the rice from different countries, and they pay the tariff, they pay government, and they pay the taxes and other things. So the executive order did not happen in oblivion or in a vacuum. It happened prior to that. If you speak with the Ministry of Commerce, for example, there have been conversation with the and they put their own cents on the rice so that they're able to get profit. Everybody can do business to get profit. So by that, they're able to control and say this will be the price on the market for my water, for my kula, for my mirror, for my musu, for pabuaka, especially pabuaka, and who can cook and pay. But on a serious note, is to ensure that the end users, the people who queue to go to the market, to go to the store, that they're able to buy it at affordable price. So the details is being worked on with the Ministry of Commerce and the team there, so that the importers maintain a price that is affordable by the regular everyday people.
Yeah, because I'm concerned. So that kind of terror will not just benefit
Oh
the
no,
importers,
absolutely,
and at
absolutely.
the end of the day, nothing is changing. Because if the
Absolutely.
president will issue a executive order and the price of rice changing, then
No, it doesn't
what's
make.
the,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah. There was a
significance
point.
of
I
that?
agree with you 100%, and this is why the president insists. In fact, his regular meeting, his update by his ministers, they come and tell him that yes, chief, we've done this. And besides just hearing it from the ministers, I mean, he speaks to everyday people. They will tell you what the price of rice on the market, whether the executive order actually has or trickled down. And he's not just one president who is interested in passing laws that does not have any direct impact. So executive orders, assets recovery, rice reduction, every rice price reduction, every other thing that he is making public commitment on. This is something that he wanted to impact.
Family, I'm not
the
sure
general
we can
people.
I'm not sure we can sleep and let her roll. I mean, now we are in March.
Uh-huh.
President Joe Boakai promised that in the first 6 months of his administration, 10,000 young people across this country will be trained in RCT. Where are we?
So this is something that is doable, but there have been a little situation with the issue of the LTA, because that was launched under LTA with the team there. So the team have said some things to the president about how this is achievable, and it is possible. It is possible. It is doable, and he's holding his people internally accountable on how they can deliver on those promises.
But that is the LT, the new team saying that this is possible and this will be done
Yes.
in the time
Yes,
specified.
absolutely.
When you say new team, what do you mean?
The newly appointed, you said
Have they taken over?
No, they haven't. Right now, as you've seen, there has been issue on turning. There was a stay order. So
I'm asking because I heard Kelvin
all
saying
of
the
these
new
things
team.
start
That's what I'm
happening.
concerned.
So once that is clear, it's just an issue of leadership. So
Because
I've been in
part of
fact.
what I'm talking, I'm saying, and Paris was right on that. I'm told this is in concert with the sectors, the LTE, of course, and the folks at the telco are supposed to be concerning their efforts in making sure that is achievable. With all of the tenure issues, it's impossible, with the time specified as we speak. Time is running.
Right. So the thing about institutions, they're institutional decisions that are made. So for example, if Prime FM says they want to employ 5,000 journalists or just 100 journalists, and if Kelvin was the head of the institution, is if Kelvin is not there or he's not, but it's something that the institution must achieve. So you have the people who will make sure that these things are achieved. So institutional memory, institutional decision, institutional action. I mean, it may not even be on tenure leadership. I mean, something could happen to the head. The person could travel. So does that mean the actual stuff they're supposed to achieve, they will not be able to achieve it as an institution. No. So I mean, as you've mentioned, the telco is on it as well as, so the president will receive updates from
I
his
receive,
as well.
and this is coming from from sources in the government, but
Okay.
they were appointed by the previous administration, headed by of them, prevented from traveling outside of Liberia. Is there an official word or communication from the office of the president placing a hold on travels or putting travel restrictions on some government officials?
I get this information as something I can make available to you, but I do not have the information.
Could you just give us at least five of your 100-day deliverable, in terms of your goals, and where are we? Because I want to begin to march
Right. What we
projects or things with time. So when the time comes that we are waiting around July, we'll be counting what you've achieved, that 10,000 young people training stuff, and then
Right.
So
what we'll do, I will forward you. I didn't come with anything. I will forward you the full once I get back to the office,
the 100-day
100-day
deliverable.
deliverable, so you're able to see where we are on that, what the commitments are, how far we are, what are the challenges, and we'll tell you these are our plans, this is where we are with it, and these are our challenges. If we can't
You must have
achieve,
read it. At least you must have seen some and be telling us practically
but
here.
we're just talking about some of the
Yeah.
things that we, as Vable asked, we're just talking about some of the things that we've talked about on the
For
issue
example,
of
what
assets
do you talk about?
recovery. Or talking about just now, you're talking about the issue of roads, right? I was coming to get to the roads, whether or not the car will be stuck right now. Right now, we've not
let's talk
received.
about that one.
Right now, we've not received any report of any cars being stuck in the
Not
mud.
many people know.
Nobody, Amy, you're not facing road.
Not many
You're-
people know get stuck in.
No, but you're in
In their
test and
Bible.
we're in a dry season.
Oh, but we
You're
still
in test
car
and
will not be
we're in
car
a
will
dry
not
season.
get stuck in the first 100 days. But nobody has said.
Yeah, are you preparing so that cars wouldn't get stuck?
Huh?
Have you started already?
Oh
Making
yeah,
sure?
so the Ministry of Public Works have done a very good feasibility on. So the goal is, so during re-season there are portion of the corridors within the country that consistently they're problematic. So the goal is to be able to have road equipment that are there, and those are temporary measures where they can remove cars or clear dirt where there's a need to put in some rocks or put in some short-term asphalt or other things that will have the road pliable, so that people will be able to go through them. So that is the short-term plan within the 100-day deliverable, so that there are stations, around the country working in consonance with the military, the army, because they have an
It's
engineering
ongoing.
division there. So the entire groundwork has been done. We do not have any situation. So the part that's ongoing now, there will be negotiations. There will be conversation. Oh, we need to get road equipment to this part. We need to get this. So in preparation for the rain season. So all of those ones, they are happening at the moment. The Ministry of Public Works is making sure that they're prepared and getting ready, so that once the rain hits, we have those things and we can make sure
Okay.
that the roads are clear.
This is Kula Fofana, Presidential Press Secretary. We have Vavli Kamara from ELBC. Kelvin Demi comes from Pram. We have our friend Tamba from Joy. All of us are here. We're not taking your call. We got like maybe 2-3 more issues we'll talk about. Let's move to this situation about the war and economic crimes. Cool. From an honest perspective. Your President Joe Boakai was always concerned about establishing this court. And during his inauguration, he talked about it. The state of the address to the nation, he did not talk about it. Recently, some members of the House signed a resolution to establish this court. We are hearing the president is supposed to sign an executive order. Is the president honest about this? Is he supporting this effort to establish this court? What do you know? What can you tell us clearly from the president's office?
First of all, the president has never been dishonest in anything. So just to clear that part, whether or not the president is honest. So whatever the president says, this is something that he feels very passionate about. And on the aspect of war and economic crime court, President Boakai have never changed.
from his beginning, if you followed him throughout the campaign, even his statement in the state of, I mean, in the inaugural address. So let me tell you the difference between the inaugural address and the State of the Nation. The State of the Nation was the actual state of the nation. It's called annual message, but within the annual message, you actually tell the Liberian people the state of the nation at that moment. So it was the time for a period of 1 year. So he was giving a report to the country on where we are as a country, what the legislative agenda was for the period, and that was the moment that specifically as the new president at the time that he have come, and these are his ideas, these are his plans, and specifically to hit the ground running. Those were the things that he said within the annual message. On the issue of his views, like I said, President
But
Boakai.
that could not stop him from talking about the war crimes court, especially on the area of peace and security or justice and security.
So that's where I'm coming. If he spoke about it, he might not say war crime code, because if you see war crime community, but it's in the context of accountability, as he's mentioned. Like I've said consistently, President Boakai's idea on accountability is there, have never changed, and he does not intend to change. In fact, I will tell you this, that he had a meeting with the global justice team that were in the country recently, the delegation at this office, and he was very clear. In fact, specifically, he's giving the Minister of Justice, along with the legal advisor, the authority, he asked them to do a feasibility on what it takes, learning from the experiences within the region, to report back to him, to tell him, but because at the end of the day, you have to see the feasibility, know the resource in cost, or, what does it take, what it means, just to give him an advice on those things. But like I said, on the big bucket of accountability, of course, President Boakai is very clear. That's why you see even the issue of the assets recovery is part of the bigger idea of accounting for what you've met, accounting for what you've done, and he's not changed. He said this. So I don't want. And the other thing that I want to make clear here is that when people talk about war and economic crimes court in the context of Liberia, people normally think that is targeting one person. Oh, we're doing a war crime court just to make sure that Clarence go to jail and blah 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 blah. No, but the idea is not for one person. It's not based on because you want to put Clarence in jail, so war and economic crime court will just be for Clarence. No, it's about the accountability process and the holisticness of this nature. That is why the Minister of Justice is in charge, as well as the legal advisor, to do feasibility, to understand the nature, to understand the perimeter and advise the president appropriately. Also with the issue of finances, general feasibility, and he specifically instructed his
Meaning
ministers.
the president's further action on the establishment of the war crime court is dependent on the advice from the Minister of Justice.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Because in fact, in anything when you do, you hear you can't just, you as a president, even though you are the president, but that's why you have team of advisors. That's why you have ministers in a different sector. That's why before he even say XYZ, he called in his advisors. What are the issues in this sector? What are the key priorities? What is the feasibility? How can we ensure that we achieve this? And by that, that's it.
So why if they said to the president is not flexible now for us to establish the code, especially at the time the president has created a general impression in the country that he would do it?
Well, again, like I've mentioned, whatever, let's not try to preempt what the ministers, they will not just come, and the security advisors as well as the legal advisor will not just come and say, oh chief, this is not doable, but they will be able to brief him and be clear on what the issues are, and they will not just, this is not doable, but they will advise, and as the president he will decide which one is the priority, and whether or not, and the timeline and everything, what's going to be done. And that is definitely how you're going to
But there is a potential legislative decision coming up. The House has passed it through a resolution, send it to the Senate. The Senate is expected to concur. Now, if the Senate concurs and they send to the president will have to act.
Well,
so apart from the Ministry of Justice advising the president, or that team advising the president on the next course, there will be a legislative decision that the president will have to act upon.
Again, there are legal procedures in which our laws are passed. So as a student of law, for example, you once the lower house sign anything, for example, a law, it comes to the upper house, the Senate pass on it, it can come to the president for signage. Once the president signs that and it's printed into him bill, it becomes a law. But there are other things too. The legislature can go through, and once it takes certain days. So there are procedure that it needs to follow, and there are many laws. And this is not to say this will be the case, but just to give an example, the president does not intend to do things that he's not prepared for. And he said this, and the War Crimes Code is under the bucket of his vision for accountability. The War Economic Crimes Code. And this is something that he have never changed. And it's not his intent is not targeted at individual or individuals or perception.
But when the
It
president,
is-
when the
it
president,
is- it is-
Madam President, when the
it is
president
for-
comes out
Uh-huh.
and create an impression
There's
in the
no
country.
impression.
I'm coming 1 minute. Once the president, it is an impression because it is subject to follow advice from his advisors. When the president comes out and create the impression that this will be done
Listen.
before getting people to do feasibility studies, what are we talking about?
Oh no. That's not how it works. So if you said you want to do this is your own vision. Even for example, if you develop your plan, you want to make sure by the end of this year, this month, this time, you want to ensure that you do XYZ. That's your vision. That's your plan. That's your aspiration. But how do you actualize those? It will be your lieutenant that you will call and say, okay, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. But I want you to help me. How do we actualize this?
Not at the time when I've gone public.
Oh no, yes, you can go public.
I would have done that. I would have done that before going
Oh,
public
no.
because what will inform me to go
In
public
fact-
will be what comes from them.
No. In fact, so what does that mean? So you will say that you will not have a vision, you will not have a plan, because you can't have those. You have to appoint ministers when you become president. So prior to that, you do not have a team to say they will advise you on XYZ. You will need to. So there are things that you have to do. You have to have a vision. You have to have an aspiration. You have to be able to aspire to say these are things that I stand for. These are things that I want to do. But once you become a president, then you have your lieutenant come and tell you, Chief, Madam, Sir, here are the plans. This is how we can achieve this. We know this is your vision. So your team now will work along your vision to be direct and say, okay, we can achieve this, but this is the plan. Let's do it this way. Let's put it in bucket. Let's do the lower hanging fruit. Let's do the short term. For example, the issue of accountability, especially on the subject of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report, is large. For example, you have the issue of memorialization. You have the issue of reparation. You have the issue of state acceptance and accountability. For example, where the state tells people that, oh, I mean, we take responsibility. We're sorry for what happened, and let's move on. Let's move together. By, in fact, open apology. We've seen countries who've done these things. For example, in Sierra Leone, even in South Africa, where they have the Gachacha court, in Tanzania, where they set up these different mechanisms on accountability. So it is a broader concept. It's not just something to say, oh, because you say you do the court. And I mean, at the end of the day, our legal system has a fundamental area that has to do with due process. There's a whole process of due process. So it is not something that when you say, oh, walk around community, you're going to grab the person, you do due process, you have to accord the person, the accused person or persons or whatever institution. Sometimes it's institutions that are accused of certain things. You accord them the due process where they're able to have their day in court, they're able to be, have counsel, they're able to answer to the even question their opponent or the accused person. So there's a whole procedure that has to
Are
be
we
followed.
hearing that the president is supposed to sign an executive order to establish the code that is being drafted already?
Well, I don't know where you're hearing that from, but that has not reached my desk. Sometimes people hear a lot of things. The other day I heard say the president is going to establish the code in Ghana. And when you heard it, say, oh, wow, really? That's what they say? But again, at the end of the day, anything, that's why since we came to this office, we've tried our best to keep the public informed. We may not get it right all the time, but we're trying our best. Our effort is to be able to make sure we inform the public. We tell the people what is happening within the presidency. We bring the office to the people. So all the issues, anything relating to war crimes court, anything relating to accountability, anything relating to communications from the office of the president will be given to the public, will be made public. His visit, whether he comes on private jet or to whoever it is, we're going to try our best to inform the public.
There is a situation about the constant wave of fire incident in Monrovia. Is the president concerned about it?
Oh, absolutely. Even last night, last night he was talking about it. He's very concerned. In fact, he's called a few of his ministers to see what needs to happen. One of the conversation has been that whether or not try to investigate whether it is the material, whether there are substandard materials that have been brought into the country, whether it is on the wiring system, try to find these institutions that are in charge of regulating what comes in the country from electronics, items and whatnot, just to ensure. And, dry season. This is not the first. It's been happening regularly. Every dry season we see, a high rate
it boils down again to appointment because the fire service is yet completed.
Yeah, we just appointed the head of the fire service just I think a few days ago. There are other people who have been on there, but besides that, if you go to fire service, imagine other line ministries and agencies having issues with their materials and what they have. Imagine what fire service has right now. I'm sure when fire service tells you their challenges, they will tell you we don't get fire truck, we get fire this, we get water, we get this, we get all that manpower, materials. So what needs to happen? I think most of these issues are systematic.
Okay.
But also education plays a key role, in that, informing our people. Other places they start teaching the children from a lower age, on
Presidential Press Secretary
fire safety.
Kula Fofana is here. She's our guest this morning on the show. So let's open the last line. It's been really on ELBC Prime and Joy FM 0777 770099 0770942817 555 Let's take our first call. Hello. Hello, yeah. Hello. Okay, we'll go here. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning also to the guests.
Yeah.
My name is Pan Cosbon, and I joined the conversation for electoral. This is number 15.
Yeah, Cosbon.
I'm concerned because Madam Fofana has constantly indicated on almost all of the platforms that the office took over. She took over an office wherein the turnover was not provided. In fact, the state of the office is, to place it this way, deplorable. We have journalists in this country who are always on the media pointing out ills inside it. So it is expected that when they are given position, when they are leaving, almost everything that they do there, they should do it in accordance with professionalism. So I like you to call Snip to the who happens to be a big brother and a journalist that we all admire to tell us how he left the office because.
Okay, thank you. Let's go here. Hello.
Good morning, Clarence. Good morning to your studio guest, Frank.
Yeah, Frank. Good morning. Let's hear you.
Kulaya kuna ipoa.
Kase kama ipe.
Kase kama yo. Kama itonka wenye.
Oh, I'm Frank. Please go ahead, please.
I don't. Two questions, please. The executive marshal announced that the president is working visit in Ghana. Could you please tell the Liberian people at what time the president? Please. Lastly, we saw the government of President we are sending Muslims for Hajj. Will Joseph Walker government help the Muslims?
Okay, thank you. Two questions there. Let's go right here. Thank you. No, we don't have. So we'll go back. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yeah?
Yeah, my name is Kenova and I call from Cinco.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much to Madam Kula. But I have a late disappointment in Madam Kula, especially when it comes to the issue of the NASCO situation. Madam Kula, you are
the press secretary, any letter or information coming from the president, they come through your hand. And the question was clear by the journalists. Did the president give any letter to the chairman or to the president, quote unquote, was said was dedicated to NASCO? Can you answer the question? You have to answer that question. Two, Madam Kula, the president also commissioned audit for the initial stage. Two audits. That one has to do with the meta formula situation, and two, the inauguration of board money. Up to now, we are yet to see those two audits report coming up. We need them because these are things that the past government was doing, and for this reason, they were voted out.
Okay, thank you. Let's take one more call from the US. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Good morning.
Good morning to your fellow journalists and good morning to the rescue communicator in studio.
Mm-hmm.
I want to extend my thanks. I'm Thomas William calling from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I want to extend my thanks and appreciation for the work you are doing. So, Mr. Jackson, let's be very, very clear. All JNB vision are achievable. They are workable and they are achievable. If you have advising the justice minister and other people, it is all about good leadership ability, where you dedicate responsibility with people who require expertise in making sure this vision affects your life and material life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let me take you. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jackson. Let me just go to Madam Fofana in studio and to the other thing. Activist Martin Render, and I do join you this morning for you.
Yeah.
Jackson, let me commend Madam Fofana for her work that she continues to do to help our country. Despite the fact sometimes there are some lapses, but she's doing extremely well as a female to perform in her role. But Madam Fofana, I would like to use this video to invite you to see the Center for the Intellectual Opinion.
Okay, Chief, she listening to that one. Let's take calls. Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Let me say good morning to you, and let me say good morning to your panelists. This is Zizi.
All right.
Let me say this to Madam Press Secretary. It's true, for some of us, we're now who are responsible for now because she's learning on the job. Because this morning, the interview that this morning is very poor. And let me be real to you people. It was good for you to go to EFPC because there were the poor type of interview supposed to be conducted. But anyway, the more laughable thing that she just put up there, that plenty people want to see the president, even when you want to go, so the president say go. So that one will make the president to different to go Ghana for working busy. That what she tried to tell us. Look, you're not even push her. You're just letting went just like that. That one made me to call because nothing in there for me to say, oh, this what all they had promised the Liberian people. She just playing fun, just laughing with putting this up. But that is the main thing because the president not get pleasure to sit down and reflect in mind he got to go Ghana. Because people giving him hard time. Look at that type of thing. Thank you.
Okay, Sisi. Thank you, yeah. Hello.
Thank you, Big Brother Clarence. The name remains Cabinet El Fofana.
Okay, Cabinet.
I am a member of United Party, and let me to take this time to extend my greeting to three of you guys. You, Big Brother Jovin Demi, and Big Brother Samara as well. Let me also take this time to appreciate my own sister, who are always referred to as the reservoir of knowledge. Honorable Kula Fofana. I did phone you yesterday on your private number, but welcome.
Man, please go to the issue, man. We got plenty of calls. We got a lot of calls to take, please.
Thank you, Big Brother. Your man is like just called just now.
No, respect the man's opinion, please.
Okay, thank you.
If we didn't talk to Zizi, you can talk to Zizi.
Okay. So let me just conclude by saying, Honorable, I do appreciate the job that you are doing. This is why we fought tirelessly to bring Ambassador Baka to the presidency because we know that he was going to bring experts of your kind to come and serve us.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be our final call. Hello.
Yes. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. If you're running, please stop. I know you're exercising, you play football before, sir. Go ahead.
Look, this is Abdullah Kiatama. Thank you guys for the show. Thank you guys for the show. Beautiful show. At some point, I thought you guys were having a family meeting, But Kula is doing a wonderful job. But two questions. One question is, the 100-day goals, which is a profound question asked by Clarence. I would think that the presidential office, there's a daily tracker on where the progress of the 100 days on each bucket item, on roads, on this. For the fact that we've been deprived of it today tells me there's not a tracker. And that what will happen next will be a justification for why those goals will not be achieved. And I thought that Kula actually slide and well, with that. And I think by going back to the office and camp, we should be armed, informed at this moment. So I'm worried about the 100-day goals based on our response, not based on the fact that things are happening or not.
Okay.
Based on the fact that that's one. The second question is the war crime code. I do agree with her. You need a vision, but the vision have a plan. No vision without a plan. So before the president comes out and lead the public into a direction, into this glorious accountability, there should have the advisor should have done their homework before the president even spoke. When the president speaks, it's not like any ordinary president. It carries so much weight. So when the president speaks, without doing some homework, without checking the boxes, without crossing the T and dotting the I's, it worries me. Those are my two questions.
Thank you so much, Kiatama. I'm sorry we're not taking any more calls again. I'm just going to the port for Kula will just give us 2 minutes. Malcolm sent me a text. I think he wants to confirm what is on Facebook. So let's confirm it. Let's lead it to bear one and for all instead of us assuming and everything. Malcolm Scott, I'm getting to you. Just get to us quickly. Take 2 minutes and then we go back to Madam Kula Fofana to respond to all these situations. And so we're not taking any more call. We are very sorry. If Malcolm can pick up, then Malcolm will have to go. I'm calling you one more time. I'm doing this because of your text message. We want to get to Malcolm Scott to talk to us about what's trending on Facebook. Is it officially from the MPA? Malcolm is here. Malcolm, good morning.
Good morning, Gareth. And let me firstly apologize for not picking your call. The multiple calls you placed on my phone.
No problem. No problem.
It was intentional. It's just that as a communicator, there are a few things you need to hang head about. So
okay.
I appreciate the fact that you reached out. And I would have called earlier, except that I didn't want to also dilute the excellent expose by the press secretary. Okay. So I thought the way that the 11th hour of the show.
So what is it true? Is it confirmed? Is that thing officially from the MPA?
Well, the clarity you were seeking appertaining the news about the code is hereby verifiably confirmed.
These people went on or through internal investigation and they were found guilty of misappropriation.
The crystal message I will convey in relation to this is that the news about the development of the code is verifiably confirmed. Details about those will be conveyed to the public. And let me also quickly say that over the weekend we issued a statement that we're having a press conference in relation to some theft on some people who allegedly smoked and chopped consumer rights out of the code. We are finalizing the official time for this press conference. But in relation to the question you asked about this development, I can confirm and details will be conveyed in
Quickly, Malcolm, this is Kelvin. Why didn't this come from you? I can sense that we all in the media try, reaching out to you to confirm this. This is not on the official website of the NPA. You weren't in the NOR. This is in all of the chat rooms. And we were the ones even who confronted you about what is in circulation. What's actually happening at the port. This should be coming from you. And you should be informing us and not us informing you about what's in circulation.
Well, that's why I'm speaking to Ed. Sometimes the medium should be of concern, but I can confirm that there were conversations with my bosses. I've held talk with the MD, the DMA, and all the parties, the top officials of the board. And, we worry about issuing the official statement to confirm those.
Okay,
so,
Malcolm, thank you. We just wanted the confirmation. Okay, so the MPA has confirmed that what is going around is from the port. Yeah, Madam Press Secretary.
Well, sometimes I really can try to avoid Abdullah's and his chicaneries he likes to do around. And funny thing, at one point he wants to stay away from public and media and all that, but next thing he's calling here and there. But his concerns are legitimate. But unfortunately, one of his comments that this conversation sounded like family meeting. I don't think it is the right way in which you put, all of you,
that his opinion.
all of you, well-seasoned
I don't
journalists here.
respond to that
I know, right?
That Katama's opinion. So
Right.
it's
So
okay.
he just, but he like they can say your opinion. I won't smoke it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but on the issue of the, if you come from a development perspective, you will know that visions are aspirations that you have, especially someone playing or someone who intend to play key leadership role to have. And at the time you're giving the opportunity to serve, then you have your team will tell you the different component of it, the actualization of your vision. And this is to say that, I mean, the president has consistently expressed his thoughts on the aspect of accountability for everything. And I've said on this platform that the vision for the portion of accountability is not to target one individual, it's a bigger bucket. And specifically, that is why he's giving the sector agencies, sector ministers, the authority to go detail, because at the end of the day, they need to tell him what are the implications, what are the lessons learned, what can we learn from this. It doesn't mean whatever they gave him, he will go about that way, but he will listen to the advice and proceed appropriately. So this is to say that the president has committed long time ago, consistently on the mark of accountability, and he has not changed. And the war crime code conversation is part of that bigger bucket of accountable or accountability module. That is why you have the asset recovery team, also part of that accountability module. On the aspect of someone talked about a daily tracker. Trust me, right now we have the director general of the cabinet who is in charge of referring to the different the reason. In fact, one thing I will tell Abdullah and others is that the role that I play, I'm not the minister of information. I'm in charge of information coming from the president office and specifically relating to issues and workings with the presidency. The bigger question for the government, across the sector, in terms of where the government is, general government, general line ministries and agencies, where they are. These are things that, of course, the different public affairs division in those ministries, they all collate those information and forward it. That's the expectation, and forward it to the Ministry of Information. And at the Ministry of Information, do the regular press briefing. Just to quickly run through, I wouldn't comment on the person and their own thought. People have, and one of the good thing about this regime is to ensure that the issue of access to information, but more so that your right to free speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press is well protected. In fact, we're working with Internews and other agencies to see how the laws that strengthen the Abdullah A. Kamara Act, laws that strengthen the Table Mountain Declaration is well in place. This government, this president have no interest.
Yeah, but we having freedom of the press, we having freedom of information. Yeah,
but that's not, no. Well, in fact, no. In fact, it was under President Johnson Sirleaf and Vice President Walker at the time was Vice President that we had those. So our regime there is the places that you can see regime can clamp down on media and can create a safe space that media and individuals cannot operate. Even we saw it in the past where journalists were beaten. Past administration, we know some of your colleagues who had some situation running.
Even the early administration, we had some of those kinds of.
No, I'm just saying, but now we're talking about new administration.
Yeah, so but I'm just telling you. No, but you are attempting to make it look like it is you people who bring it now.
That's your interpretation. I'm saying
that's what you were saying.
I'm saying we were strengthening it. Do you know that there are current laws that are working to ensure that LBS is turned into a public broadcaster? Because these are all aspects that this regime is intending to strengthen the space of communication. So by that, we have people who will have anything they want to say, and President Bwakai will just do what he's supposed to do. Our role at the office will be able to inform the public, and we'll just let people say what they want to say. On the issue of the invitation to see, one of the things we intend to do is not just to have the media engagement. We want to take the presidency to the people through the different intellectual discourses office, the different Atai centers. We look forward to how we can schedule those things. So McLean Randa, I would definitely look forward to coming at CO and other intellectual centers on the freeway, Douala, anywhere that we can be able to go. Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, one other thought from me. Can you confirm the withdrawal of EFL soldiers from B Mountain?
Let me come there. Let me conclude on the colors
Except
quickly.
that we have 3 minutes, Kula.
Right, very quickly. On the issue of the hash, somebody asked about whether my parents went to hash this last time and they pay. Most people who went to hash pay. I'm sure maybe there are a few people that the government took care of, but this government is working along with the team to see how we can source support and resources so that Liberians can go, during to perform the hajj in Mecca. Talking about, I think so far, concern turnover note. Yeah, again, this is like I said, that Clarence and Kelvin can bring their question, and when they ask me, I got to say, once they say how we met the institution, I will keep saying we met the institution the way it is. Up to now, I've not received turnover note. But we're going ahead, we're working, we're moving. The office is a moving office. On the issue, somebody talk about inaugural ball. And audits, that information is not to my knowledge. I've not received information on that about audit on inaugural ball, and the president wasn't involved for inaugural ball situation. I think so far we've covered almost everything. And then your concern on Beer Mountain. What are the AFL? I can't say. I do not have that information.
Few quick concerns quickly in less than 1 minute. This one says, please ask if the president intends to visit King Jaw following the brutal protest. And then this is coming from a medical student. Please ask in my behalf your guess on what's this administration planned for the medical school and the medical doctors in training. Liberia has only one medical school and it's in a dilapidated condition. No enough dormitories, no running water, delay of our students, stipends. List goes on and on and on.
So I will advise the person who sent the concern to communicate clearly to the Minister of Health, stating those challenges, and then the Minister of Health will be able to brief the president on the concern within the sector, and then he can take the appropriate action. So it will be good, and this goes to other people, for example, education, wherever your sector ministry and the school. I know AM Douglas is under the Ministry of Health, so they're able to inform the status and the condition of the school. And I can tell you clearly in 1 minute that the president is very concerned on the education institution. So something of sort that comes to his attention, he's going to take the appropriate action as soon as possible.
It's both ways. You could also say, the president could also say, what I read this.
On
a show that my press secretary appeared on, or she informed me about this. Madam Minister, is it true? Can you look at these concerns? They're very concerning because they're the bedrock of our sector.
Right, I agree that can happen, but I'm saying because I will inform from an information perspective, but the minister will be able to follow up, will follow through, will know the where, how, when, and whatnot. But just to be able to ensure that there is result at the end of the day.
Okay, Kula, we got to let you go. Guys, thank you so much for coming. Thanks to Kelvin, Vavle, and Tamba for coming here. We had Presidential Press Secretary Kula Fofana. Thanks to all of you for your listening role. If you called but we didn't take you, it means that the time was over. My name is Clarence Baba. Thanks to all of you, man.